Bethlehem's just 10 kilometres south of Jerusalem in an area known as the West Bank. Civil law doesn't apply here as it's run by the Israeli military. If you get killed in this area, there are no consequences at all, except to yourself. There are checkpoints everywhere where no photos are allowed.
To go to Bethlehem and Jericho was particularly important to me, but because it is dangerous, we had to make a decision to go on the day. This is because of the Palestinian resistance, or Intifada.
The sanest and safest way to tour the West Bank is to take day trips from Jerusalem. Knowing that tourists in the past have been killed in Israeli buses and hire cars, we decided to take an Arab taxi to visit Bethlehem and Jericho. For the whole day, it only cost us 600 shekels or 200 NZ dollars, and we thought our life was worth at least that. The first thing you notice on the way to Bethlehem is this massive concrete wall, which will be over 600 kilometres long when it's finished. It's designed to help confiscate Palestinian land and further facilitate the expansion of the Israeli colony, and also deny the Palestinians the ability of earning a living, getting water supplies, and reaching their schools and workplaces. As we drove into Bethlehem, the effect of the wall was obvious. Streets were deserted and shops were closed. Contrast this with what it was like when I was here 14 years ago. This little town was the biblical setting of Rachel's death, the love of Ruth and Boaz, and the discovery of the shepherd David, the future king of Israel. But what really put this place on the map was the birth of Jesus here. At first we thought the door of the Church of Nativity was made small to make us short people look tall. But as it turned out, it was converted to a small door to prevent Muslims from entering on horseback. And also, you have to stoop to enter, signifying your humility. You can still see the original doorway in the stone today. There's a huge amount of blah 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 associated with this church, but in a nutshell, it's the oldest continuously used church in the world and dates back to 326 CE and was built by Constantine under the supervision of his mother. Again, by comparison, there was hardly anyone around compared with years ago. Jericho is considered to be the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world, where there have been more than 20 successive settlements. It's like an oasis in the scorched Jordan River Valley, with an easy reach of Jerusalem, even in ancient times. Today you get to it via several military checkpoints, and, by law, Jews are not permitted to enter Jericho in an effort to starve its economy. The oldest fortifications have been found 12 metres below the ground, and according to leading archaeologists are over 10,000 years old. Jericho is best known for the biblical account of its walls, which came crashing down when Joshua sounded his trumpets after 7 days of siege. Cement wasn't invented until Roman times, so stone walls in Joshua's day were just loose rocks piled up like this. No wonder they could fall down so easily. Straight above Jericho is the Mount of Temptation, the area, by tradition, where Jesus was tempted after his baptism in the Jordan River. The 1,300 metre long cable car is a recent addition. A few years back, you would have had to walk up or take a donkey ride to the monastery. On the way up and at the top, you get spectacular views of Jericho, the Jordan Valley, and all the way to Mount Nebo, where Moses saw the Promised Land, and which you can also see in the Jordan section of our DVD. The cable car only takes you up to a cafe. It's several hundred more steps up to the monastery itself. The holes that you can see in the hill were caves carved out for the individual monks. Imagine living in those. In the 6th century, the Byzantines built a monastery here, but later, under Muslim rule, it was left to deteriorate. In the 19th century, it was rebuilt by the Greek Orthodox Church, and today, Jebel Quarantel, as it's called, is inhabited by 6 Greek monks. After all this hard outside seeing, it was time to take a camel for a test drive. Hisham's palace is just 2 kilometres from Jericho and offers a jaw-dropping example of early Islamic architecture. The palace was designed for Umayyad Caliph Hisham as a winter retreat from Damascus. Construction was begun in 724 CE and completed 18 years later, only to be levelled by an earthquake 4 years after it was finished. The complex had a bathhouse, a mosque, a 60-hectare enclosure containing plants, animals, and mosaic decorations of the highest standard. A sophisticated system of underground pipes provided hot water, and portions of this still exist today. Artifacts from this site are located in the Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem. Driving down from Jerusalem to the Dead Sea, if you turn left, you can go to Jericho. If you turn right, you pass Qumran where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, and then past the Ein Gedi spa where you can have a dip in the Dead Sea, and finally onto Masada. The trip from Jerusalem to Masada takes about an hour. We booked Ein Tours for this occasion. Ein Tours is the national bus company, and you can just ring their customer services and pay with your credit card. As we drive down from the Judean mountains to the Jordan Valley, the temperature climbs to 40 degrees and the air is sticky due to the evaporation from the lake. The whole area is just full of caves and is where King David fled to escape the wrath of King Saul, as recorded in the Bible book of 1 Samuel chapter 23. Here at Qumran is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. The scenery is just beautiful. There's just no other place like it on earth. Masada, or Metzada, pronounced Masada, means fortress and was established as a refuge against marauding Greeks and Syrians by the Jewish high priest Jonathan Maccabeus around 150 BCE. You can walk up this 400 metre high mountain, but we didn't see anyone do this in this hot desert climate. Instead, we all took the easy way in and out, the 900 metre cable car ride. The 3-minute ride up the mountain gives you good views of the Roman encampments during the 66 CE siege, and the view from the top is just breathtaking. now for the blah 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 blah, and no rotten tomatoes, and please save the applause for later. Josephus, a 1st century Jewish Roman historian, reports that Herod the Great in 37 BCE took Masada as a refuge for himself in case of a revolt. In 66 CE, the Judeans did rebel against the Roman occupation, and a small band of rebels, the Zealots, took over Masada. The Romans eventually crushed the revolt, taking Jerusalem in 70 CE and destroyed the Second Temple, and soon Masada alone was the last holdout. The 967 defenders, men, women and children, held off thousands of Roman legionnaires through a 3-year siege. The Romans, frustrated at first, called their best engineers and built a stone and gravel ramp up the side of the cliff. When the defenders realised that the Romans would take them the next morning, the whole lot of them committed suicide, but put stores of wheat and water in the citadel's courtyard to prove to the Romans that they didn't perish from hunger. 2 women and 5 children survived and told their side of the story to Josephus Flavius, the historian. The solution of acquiring and storing water in a desert fortress is one of the wonders of Masada, aside from the cable car. Herod quarried numerous cisterns in the mountain, which were collected by a system of dams and aqueducts. From there, convoys of animals brought the water up to Masada and filled numerous huge cisterns like these throughout the mountain. But a lover of life like Herod wouldn't be content merely drinking water. The water planning of Masada also included attention to hygiene, recreation, bathhouses and a swimming pool, which are still there today. Masada is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and excavations have shown that this fortress included barracks, armaments for 10,000 people, a palace, a Byzantine church from the 6th century, and even a 2,000-year-old seed found in the 60s, which was successfully germinated to become a date palm. What a fascinating time we had here, once again being mesmerised by the history, the geography, and of course, the cable car. The Ein Gedi Spa is at the foot of the Judean hills, and to the east are the mountains of Moab. These hot springs are a natural phenomenon and a pilgrimage site for the health conscious of the world. Here there are 6 pools, resting rooms, massage rooms, a restaurant as well as accommodation. Over the years, Israel has been diverting water from the Sea of Galilee for agricultural purposes, so the Dead Sea is shrinking. Resorts like this one, which were formerly at the edge of the sea, are now at several hundred metres from shore. It's too hot to walk to the water's edge, so transport here is provided. The mud at this location is sold worldwide for its unique sensory experience and claims health benefits. It's also said to strengthen your hair, that is, if you had any. The waters themselves are the subject of controversy. Some swear by their curative powers, some say they're useless. I've always wanted to come here. We had a lot of fun here, and you can watch more of our Dead Sea experiences in the DVD disc 2 in the movie entitled The Dead Sea.